Conventions! You know them, you love them, they're great ways to show appreciation for the things you love and meet other people who love the same stuff. For artists, conventions are great because of Artist Alley, a place where we can sell our wares to an audience that may not have even known about us otherwise. And as someone who's been doing Artist Alley at conventions for several years, I want to help teach y'all some do's and don'ts to make your experience in the Artist Alley better. This is part 2 of my Artist Alley series. In the first part, we mostly covered preparing for the Artist Alley, and in this one, we'll be focusing more on how to navigate the actual events. You don't need to watch the other video first, but I'll have a link for it in the description if you want to check it out as well. But before we dive in, let's do Hey Star, what you drawing? The art in the background is the art for a new Expedition 33 sticker sheet I recently completed. When this video goes up, they should be live on my store, so if you want to snag one, check the link in the description. Okay, enough stalling, here's 50 more tips for Artist Alley. So, you've gotten into an event, you've made your products, you've got your display prepared, but now you gotta sell stuff? Let's talk about money. Once you have products to sell, you're probably wondering how much you should sell them for. A general rule of thumb is to take the cost of production, i.e. cost of materials or manufacturing, plus shipping, and multiply it by 3, and that's the absolute lowest you should sell it at. As an example, if I order a batch of stickers from a sticker company and each sticker costs $1 to print and ship, I shouldn't sell that sticker for any less than $3. In addition to this, researching how much other artists are selling similar goods at is valuable market research. If you price your goods significantly higher than others do, it might hurt your sales, but if you severely undercut the prices of other vendors, you're not only hurting your own potential profits, you also risk pissing off your neighbors and other vendors. I'm not saying your pricing should be completely at the mercy of others, just pricing an 11x17 print at $5 when everyone else is selling them at $20 is kind of a bad look. I encourage having a variety of price points at your table. If someone doesn't have a lot of cash but still wants to buy something, they'll probably still be willing to part with a few bucks for a small print or sticker. On the flip side, someone who loves your work and has money to spend might be tempted to go for something more expensive if you have it. It's a good idea to have some easy, accessible goods alongside more expensive items for those big spenders. Now, your prices for individual items are important, but for in-person events, bundle pricing is also a really good idea. I.e., folks can buy one keychain for $15 or 3 for $35. This is the deal I've done for a few years, and it generally works pretty well. If someone just wants one keychain, they'll buy that one and be done. But if someone wants 2 keychains, I'll usually say, just so you know, we do have buy 3 for $35. If there was a third keychain you wanted, you can get it for just $5. And a lot of times that's cheap enough that they'll pick out a third for themselves, or ask their friend if they want one, or we'll grab one for someone else as a gift. I have some kind of bundle deal for pretty much everything at my table, either buy 2 get 1 at a discount, buy 2 get 1 free, etc. Bundles are a great way to encourage larger sales, just don't pressure anyone into going for a bundle deal. I just casually bring it up if someone is already close to the requirements, and about 50% of the time they go for it. When selling at conventions, I recommend taking both card and cash payments. Cash is easy, you literally just exchange bills for goods, but I always recommend starting every event with small bills so you can make change for customers. My method is to bring about $200 in small bills for every event. 4 20s, 6 10s, 8 5s, and 21s is a pretty good spread, and it hasn't steered me wrong yet. If you don't want to have to go to the bank before every convention to get small bills, I like to just take that much out of my cash earnings after each event and stash it away for my next one. Saves a little bit of time. Purely for the ease of pricing, I like to stick towards denomination of $5 for my prices. 5s and 10s are nice, easy, round numbers, and it'll keep you from having to deal with ones too much. Also, don't bother pricing your stuff with coins. Coins are evil and heavy and annoying. Whole dollar values only. Do not deal with coins. It is not worth it. Now, cash is simple, but how do you take cards? There's a few options for point-of-sale devices, but the one preferred by most artists is Square. Basically, you make an account, connect it to your bank, and it lets you take card payments via your phone. You can get the basic little dongle that connects to your phone for free on their website, but if you're going to be doing cons a lot, I recommend investing in something a little more high-tech. They also have a chip reader, which is about $60 at the time of recording, and this lets you take tap to pay, which is getting increasingly more prevalent. I have a lot of people paying on their phones at these cons. Or if you want to be really fancy, I invested in the Square terminal a few years ago, and I love it. Letting customers go through the transaction on their own on the little device screen while I pack up their orders is really convenient, and it means no one has to touch my phone. However, this one's more pricey, so I'd definitely say you don't need one right away. Start basic and work your way up. Lastly, while how you do this will vary depending on where you live, it's important to keep track of your expenses, how much you're spending on the table, travel, making your products, etc., because you can write these off as business expenses on your taxes, and it'll mean you have to pay less when filing. This is a deep hole that I'm not qualified to give too much advice on, other than to talk to other vendors from your area and also an accountant. Hashtag not financial advice. Additionally, you'll also need to collect and file sales tax depending on where the convention is. Most cons I've been to, this is just a form you fill out and mail in with a check after the show is over, but it varies depending on location. Most cons will tell you in whatever welcome packet they send out before the show, so make sure you're following the guidelines. Don't accidentally commit tax evasion. If you're worried about charging taxes, most point-of-sale devices like Square will let you program sales tax to be applied at checkout. Alternatively, you can just factor taxes into your actual prices. How you do that is up to you, I've seen both. Okay, we've gotten all the prep work out of the way, it's time to get everything to the convention. So let's discuss packing and storage. Real quick, I'm gonna run down a rapid-fire list of how I transport my goods. There are other methods certainly, but this is how I do it. Stickers go in my sticker binder. If they're smaller than a trading card, you can use trading card sleeves like this, and for larger stickers, I get these pages with larger sleeves. These are usually advertised for stuff like seed packets. I also like to label each sleeve to keep things organized. Getting a binder that zips shut is really important if you do this way, because that way if you accidentally hold the binder upside down, all your stickers won't fall out. For pins, I use these craft organizers. I think I got these at Michael's. They have these little cubbies for each pin, and the sides can be removed to make larger compartments if you need. I like to label my compartments so I know which pin design is where, and it's consistent for every show I go to. For sticker sheets and small prints, I use this tiny file box I got from an office store. You can label the divider so you don't have to search too hard to find things. For large prints, I have this jumbo paper print organizer thingy. It fits 11 by 17 prints really easily and has dividers to make it easy to find things. I got this one on Amazon. If I can find the link, I'll have it in the description. For keychains and acrylic charms, I've tried multiple methods, but my current favorite is, of all things, Christmas ornament organizers. I glue the dividers to the base so the charms can't slip under them and get mixed up, and I have tiny labeled cubbies for each of my charm designs. It's very handy. Okay, as for other stuff you should bring, first aid kit. No, seriously, bringing just a small bag of essentials has been a lifesaver. Pack some painkillers, a few different sizes of band-aids and Neosporin, disinfecting wipes, athletic tape or blister band-aids, allergy meds, etc. Not only will this be handy for you in case you hurt yourself, but also if one of your neighbors or fellow vendors need it. Being prepared is an excellent way to make friends. Hand sanitizer, especially if you're dealing with cash. I'm not even that much of a germaphobe, but conventions are disgusting and you don't know where those dollar bills have been. Keep some hand sanitizer on you to use throughout the day, especially before you eat. I like to get the kind that's scented so it's a little less harsh on the nose, as well as an attachment that lets me clip it to my fanny pack. Speaking of being prepared, battery packs. It's always good to have some kind of spare battery charger with you, but my personal favorite are the kind with the cables built into the battery pack itself. That way you can use it no matter what needs to be charged without needing an extra cable. I'll put the link for my personal favorite down below. This thing has saved my life on multiple occasions and it goes everywhere with me. If you're flying somewhere, a luggage scale is always handy. This will help you make sure that your bag doesn't go over your flight's weight limit and saves you from having to do the awkward suitcase shuffle in line at luggage drop-off. I recommend an electronic one as mechanical ones can be more inaccurate. Lastly, a stuff box. What's a stuff box, you ask? Basically, it's a box of stuff you need for conventions. Pens, sticky notes, scissors, tape, Sharpies, zip ties, clips, table clamps, etc. All of your behind-the-scenes essentials. The idea behind a specific stuff box is that you fill it once and then you don't unpack it between shows. This is your convention stuff box for conventions only, and it helps you make sure that you never accidentally forget those little necessities. This tip feels basic, but I'll say it anyway. Make a checklist of everything you need to bring for conventions and triple check it as you pack before every show. It's super easy to forget things, so having a list of all your products, display pieces, and other necessities like business cards and chargers is extremely important. Don't forget to include personal items in that checklist, by the way. Here's a list of things I've forgotten to bring to conventions. toothpaste, pajamas, headphones for traveling, phone chargers, my battery pack charger, all of the cash I had for the weekend, and my retainers. That last one was the worst because it meant I was grinding my teeth all weekend and had a nasty headache that painkillers did not help with. Not the way you want to spend a weekend. As a tiny aside here, I always recommend bringing some kind of light jacket with you, no matter what season the con is in. I've been in plenty of convention centers that blast the AC to negate the combined body heat of thousands of nerds, and while I'd rather be cold than sweaty, sitting behind your table and shivering is pretty miserable. I've definitely had to use my spare tablecloth as a blanket at more than one show. Even some kind of light cardigan or hoodie is better than freezing your buns off. Real quick, let's talk food. If you want to save money, bringing food with you to cons is a great way to do so. Snacks with protein are best. That's going to be nuts, trail mix, protein bars, beef jerky, etc. Dried fruit is another good option for snacks. All of these will help keep you full and give you energy without causing a sugar crash, and you usually don't have to worry about them spoiling. If you're staying at a hotel and have the space to bring one with you, bringing an electric kettle is a great way to save some money. I usually only do this if I'm driving to a show, but I'll bring an electric kettle with some instant ramen, instant miso soup, tea, etc. It means I don't have to order delivery or go hunting for food after an event is over for the day, and it saves a ton of money as well. Water is also super important. Hydrate, don't dehydrate, etc. I recommend bringing some kind of insulated, refillable water bottle and making sure you're drinking throughout the day. Okay, this is a little side tangent, but I couldn't think of anywhere else to put this tip. If you ever find yourself stuck at your table with no helpers and you can't leave your booth, you can give con attendees side quests. I've made a sign before that says, "Side quest, bring me a sealed bottle of water and I will give you a free sticker." And within an hour, like 3 people brought me water bottles. It was awesome. You can, in theory, do this with food as well, but for your own personal safety, I wouldn't accept any food that isn't sealed. We've all heard horror stories, don't be the next one. Before your conventions, I recommend doing a test setup to make sure you iron out exactly what you need to bring. You can also take photos of your setup, both the front and back end, to make it easier to remember how to set things up when you're at an event. The less you have to guess, the less stressed you'll be. Lastly, I highly recommend not packing the night before. I usually start packing for a con a few days in advance so I can take my time to get things organized and not accidentally forget anything. If you realize you forgot something, you still have time to shove it in your bag before it's go time. Speaking of which, it's go time! You're at the con and it's time to sell, so let's talk about customer service. And I'm gonna start with a surprisingly controversial one. Say hi to your customers. At the very least, acknowledge their presence in some way when they walk up to your table. Now, this one's controversial because some attendees love to talk to vendors, and others are shy and just want to be left alone. The problem is that without talking to them, there's no way to tell which is which, and if you get it wrong, you can risk hurting your sales. For example, I consider myself more introverted, but I really love striking up conversations with fellow vendors and always feel super shitty when I walk up to someone's booth and they completely ignore me. I have literally walked away from tables and changed my mind on a sale because the vendor refused to acknowledge me at all. But some people will get anxious if a vendor pays too much attention to them and find an excuse to quickly leave. So how in the hell do you navigate this? Up on the screen is my customer greeting flowchart. This is how I engage with every customer who passes my table, and it hasn't failed me yet. The idea is to give a basic greeting, see how they react, and then continue accordingly. Some customers won't want to chat, but I find that just a simple hello and then ignoring them and letting them browse is leagues better than just ignoring people entirely. I stand by my flowchart. If you take nothing else from this video, let it be this. Now, when I say ignore customers while they're browsing, I basically mean don't stare holes in them. When customers are browsing at my table, I'll usually have a sketchbook out and be casually doodling, or making myself look busy, but not too busy, by organizing and tidying the space behind the table. If you just sit there and stare at potential customers, they'll probably feel like they're being pressured to buy something, and you don't want to pressure your customers. No, seriously, don't pressure your customers. As I said before, I like conversing with other vendors, but the instant I start feeling like they're pushing me towards a sale, my interest in whatever they're selling plummets. If every other sentence of our conversation is them talking about prices for whatever item I'm looking at, or if they're trying really, really hard to get me interested in their book or their comic or their OCs or anything like that, it feels dehumanizing almost. Like, they don't see me as a person interested in their work, they see a walking wallet they want to persuade into a sale. Your customers are not hunks of meat, they are people. Respect them and they'll return the favor. Related to not pressuring customers, do not pity market. I haven't seen this too often at conventions, thankfully, but every time I do, it is so uncomfortable. Pity marketing is basically pitching your work by saying things like, please buy my art so I can afford to buy food for the weekend, or I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs and every night I break my arms, but I made this comic and if you buy it, it will help you sleep a little better tonight. Sure, you might get a few people taking pity on you and buying things, but most of the time, you're gonna drive potential customers away. Desperation is not a positive selling point. If that's not enough to convince you, let me hit you with this. Pity marketing might get a person to buy from you once, but there is a 99% chance that that person will never buy from you again. And if they ever see you at another event, they will probably avoid your booth because of how awkward or uncomfortable you made them feel. Meanwhile, if you're friendly, approachable, clearly passionate about your work, and leave a customer with a positive experience, they'll have a good mental picture of you in their mind. If they see you at future events, they'll probably at least come by to say hi, maybe even buy some more stuff from you, or bring their friends. You should be striving to build an audience of people who genuinely like your work, not one that only buys from you because they feel guilty. As a flip side to this, I've had people buy stuff from my booth or leave a tip just because they had a nice conversation with me. So if a customer seems up for it, i.e. they don't completely rebuff any attempt at conversation, you can try to initiate some casual chatter. I love complimenting and asking about people's cosplays, for example, or asking how the con's been for them. I also love asking to look at people's Ita bags if they have them. I make Ita bags myself, and there's no better way to get people talking than to ask about the Blorbo they've clearly spent a lot of money and time making a custom bag for. My next tip is to try and appear approachable, and I'll be upfront, this is one I've struggled with. Folks who know me IRL know I have a pretty intense resting bitch face, to the point I once had a professor tell me that I radiate contempt, his exact words. And that's generally not gonna be good for making sales. If you look pissed or bored or like you generally don't want to be there, people will pick up on that and be scared to approach your booth or interact with you. For me, even when I'm focused on other things, I make a conscious attempt to smile to myself at least a little bit to negate my natural angry face. Put a little picture of your pet or your favorite Blorbo with a note reminding you to smile behind your booth or something if you need to. Just try to avoid looking miserable. If the show is slow and you need something to occupy yourself, I really recommend against scrolling on your phone or anything similar. In addition to doom scrolling, I've even seen people reading books or playing video games behind their tables at shows. At the very least, put that sort of thing away while customers are actively in front of your table. If you look too immersed in whatever you're doing, you're making yourself less approachable to your potential customers. Next, this is more of a display tip, but I think it also works here. One of my helpers who used to be a retail manager talks about a type of marketing called putting the kitten in their hand. Basically, letting people touch or handle the objects they're thinking about buying. For example, my sticker displays are self-serve, meaning people can grab stickers off the display to look closer before buying. My charm designs, while attached to the display, still allow people to handle them and flip them over. I actively encourage people to pick up and flip through the books I have on display. My standees are usually just free-floating on the display, and if someone seems interested, I'll let them pick it up and hold it. There's some sort of psychology that makes people more likely to buy something if they get a chance to actually hold it and feel its quality, so take advantage of that. Lastly, this one thankfully hasn't happened to me too often, but it feels worth mentioning. Don't let people haggle your prices down. It never feels good to be a doormat and give in to people haggling. Be polite but firm on your prices. It helps to keep your discounts easily visible, and if they're persistent, I'll tell them I do bulk discounts if they spend over $100, but otherwise the prices are the way they are for a reason. And if people are assholes about it, then their money isn't worth their disrespect, and just let them walk away. Okay, you're selling at a con and things are going well, but there's still potential for disaster to strike. Very briefly, let's talk about security. Firstly, for cash, For the love of whatever higher being is present in your life, do not use a loose cash bag or box or what have you. Keeping all your cash in a random pencil bag that just sits behind your table is like begging thieves to walk away with it. This happens all the time. I swear, at least once per event, I'll hear about someone's cash box getting stolen from behind their table. They turned away for just a second to deal with a customer, and then, oops, hundreds of dollars just gone. So, how do you avoid this? Keep your cash strapped to your body at all times. Whether it's an apron with cash pockets, a fanny pack, or something similar, make sure your cash is attached to you in some way. Personally, I have my business fanny pack. It keeps all my cash in it, plus a pocket for business cards, a few band-aids, and various trinkets. Basically, whenever someone gives me a free trinket at a con, I put it in or attach it to the business fanny pack. They're my many, many good luck charms, and they make so much noise when I walk around. Relatedly, one of the best ways to avoid theft is to be alert. Keep an eye on customers, especially if you have self-serve items on your display. It's harder to steal from someone who is actively paying attention. Now, some of the theft stories I hear happen overnight. People leave their merch behind their tables, and when they come back the next day, it's gone. I've even heard of thieves walking away with entire suitcases full of merch. I do have methods for avoiding this, and while it might sound a bit like overkill, I've never had an overnight theft in all the years I've been doing Artist Alley, so here's how I do it. For starters, get suitcases with locks. Built-in locks are best, but a lock you can attach to the zipper is a fine alternative. At the end of every show day, put all your valuables inside the suitcases and lock them up. You could just hide the suitcases under the table and be done with it at this point, but I like to go a step further. Get yourself a bike lock and lock the handle of the suitcase to the underside of your table. Loop it between the supports in a way that people can't steal your suitcase without taking the entire table with them. Is it a bit overkill? Maybe, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Next, for money, obviously don't leave your cash behind the table. Take it back to your hotel room or whatever to make sure it stays secure overnight. Also, I like to count out my cash and reset my float at the end of each day. I'll sort through and get my standard $200 in small bills and tuck the rest into a small pocket of my suitcase that stays in the hotel. That way, on the off chance my cash bag does get stolen, they won't steal all my cash for the entire weekend, just what I'd made that day. Still bad, but a little bit safer. Okay, so this last section is just a smattering of random general pieces of advice that didn't really fit anywhere else. So let's end the video with the etc. advice. Whether you're an artist or just an attendee, take a Sharpie and write your phone number on the back of your badge. That way, if you manage to lose it, a good Samaritan would be able to get in contact and return it to you. If you're doing a larger or multi-day show, bringing a helper is always a good idea. I like to bring a friend or two for travel cons if possible, and I've even dragged my mom to conventions with me. She likes to see me in action, and even though she doesn't know anything about the fandoms I draw or the stuff I make, she can still watch my table when I go to the bathroom and help pack up orders for customers. An extra pair of hands and eyes is always helpful. If you can, it's a good idea to train your helper ahead of time. Set up a mock-up of your display, show them how you keep the back end organized, teach them how to use whatever device you're using to make sales. It'll be way less stressful than doing it at the event itself. If you're like me and you have an online store in addition to convention sales and you need to track inventory between both, I recommend making some kind of spreadsheet to mark off how many of each item you sell. That way you can update your online inventory when you return from events. Keeping an inventory spreadsheet is also a great idea so you have a point of reference for how many of each item you're selling. You'll be able to study which items sell better than others, which fandoms are more popular at which shows, which type of merch is selling best, and use that to inform your decisions for future events. This is a small one, but you know that tablecloth you use at conventions? Make sure you're washing it between events. They get very gross very fast. Having a few funny items on your display is a good way to draw attention. Whether it's a funny sticker design, a meme print, or even just a funny tip jar, people are drawn to stuff that makes them laugh. For a few years, I had a print referencing the I'm at soup meme, and people would see it, yell the meme, I'd yell back at them, what do you mean you're at soup? And at the very least, it'd get a laugh, but sometimes it would get people to come over and see the rest of my merch. Humor can be a very good driver for sales and interactions. Since you're gonna be stuck in the same place all weekend, you should always, at the very least, introduce yourself to your neighbors. Make casual niceties, offer to share food or snacks, or to watch their table if they need to use the bathroom. Ideally, if you need to make a quick water or bathroom run, they'll be able to watch yours. Also, Making friends is a good idea. Even if you just share some casual conversation and that's the end of it, getting to know your fellow artists is how you slowly build a network of familiar faces. If you and a few friends are all going to the same event and have merch for the same fandom, you might consider doing a stamp rally. Basically, stamp rallies are games where attendees get rewarded for visiting all the artists on the card and getting stamps, either by just asking for one or by making a purchase. If they get all the stamps, they can exchange their card for a prize, usually something special made just for the event or a collection of merch provided by each artist. Stamp rallies can be a great way to boost sales and direct traffic to artists with certain fandoms, but do take some preparation ahead of time. If you have a social media presence, which you should, I recommend making announcements on your socials when you have a convention coming up. Include your table number, a map of the expo hall showing where your table is, and a catalog of what you'll be bringing. Make sure to tag the post with the show's hashtag so attendees can find it before the show. If someone sees something they want in your catalog, they might make a point to seek you out. And with that, I think that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching, hope you learned something, and good luck on your Artist Alley endeavors. Now, before we end the video, it's time for Star's Webcomic Corner, the part where I promote my favorite webcomics, boost my fellow creators, and give you guys something new and fun to read. So, let's get into it. The Iron Nuns have a mission. Fight back against the deadly monster-like viruses that infect the world, and protect the people from the dangers they pose. The Postmaster brothers Sprout and Oz have a mission as well, delivering mail. That's it. No heroics, no combat, no danger of any kind. The job is simple, but Sprout longs for something more. He wants to join the nuns' ranks to really do something with his life and help people. But after his application for the nuns is rejected and new advancements in technology mean they may lose their delivery jobs as well, things are looking grim for our boys. That is, until they stumble onto a mysterious postbox hidden beneath the mailroom floorboards, and their entire lives suddenly change. Thrust into peril, the brothers have to use their wits and newfound abilities to survive in their fight against giant viruses, all while keeping their escapades hidden from their higher-ups. After all, they could very well be digging into things they were never meant to find. Brothers is a comic written and illustrated by one of my Artist Alley friends, so I knew I had to talk about it in this video. Between a fun and expressive art style combined with a very interesting aesthetic. The way trees and other objects like dust particles are rendered as simple cubes or squares, the way the comic is mostly grayscale but chooses to accent certain limited colors to very dramatic effect, and the extremely unique world building that draws you in but never feels like it's being shoved down your throat, all combine to form a comic that's interesting in both storyline and visuals. And since the comic has only been running for a couple of years, now's a great time to start reading and get in on the ground floor to watch the mysteries unfold. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here, so if you're the type to theorize about the stories you love, this is a great one to sink your teeth into. If you'd like to read the comic for yourself, you can check out the entire thing for free on the website. I'll have a link down in the description, so go check it out. And with that, that's gonna be a wrap on this one. If you have a piece of Artist Alley advice I didn't mention here, feel free to leave it in the comments. We don't do gatekeeping here, so let's help lift up our fellow artists. Also, again, if you haven't watched the first Artist Alley advice video, I highly suggest that as well. We had a bunch of folks leaving advice down in the comments, so if you're still hungry for more, there's lots of cool tips over there. Lastly, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I do Artist Alley a lot, as well as other types of art videos, and I would love it if you stuck around. Thanks as always to my lovely Patreon supporters for helping make these videos possible, and an extra special thanks to my video shout-out to your patrons. Holly, Mr. Don Matsu, Alyssa Herzog, and Neon Valkyrie. Okay, that'll be it for me. Fare thee well, friends, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!